Welcome everyone, I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and now that all of the film has been watched and all of the grades are in, it's time for the Football Game Plan Scouting 2018 NFL Draft Prospect Preview. Before we get started with our prospect rankings, here's how we gather our grades and what they actually mean. First, we watch a minimum of 3 full games on a player, a prospect's best game, his worst game, and the best or intriguing matchup. And second, we grade on 15 key points specific to the position to equal 100 points in total. Now, here's what the grades that you'll see by a prospect's name will actually mean. Prospects that earn grades in the 90s graded out as future NFL All-Pros. Prospects in the 80s are considered future Pro Bowl players. Grades in the 70s represent solid NFL starters, and grades in the 60s are players that we believe are spot starters in the NFL. And if you notice, we don't use the word reserve or backups because we personally feel as though that there are no such thing as backups in the NFL, only starters in waiting. So without further ado, let's kick off our prospect rankings by taking a look at our top 10. Crosby of Oregon graded out as our #1 offensive tackle prospect in his draft class, and where he earned that grade was in his consistency on top of being an excellent athlete. His footwork, recognition, technique, and functional strength makes him a premier player at the position. Lando Brown out of Oklahoma checks in at #2. Someone that tall and that big isn't supposed to move that well, and I'm a big fan of what he does in the running game. His strength is the best in this class and can legit move mountains when he locks his hands on a target. His feet can get a bit heavy at times in pass protection, so that's where he can stand to get a little bit better, but overall, he's what you want along your offensive line. Another tall, athletic tackle graded out pretty high for us, and that's Brandon Parker of North Carolina A&T. You know your coaches believe in you as an offensive tackle when they start to run weak side right behind you, and A&T did just that in the Celebration Bowl this past December as Parker was in the zone. He's technically sound and has the ability to absorb, stonewall, and then redirect defenders really well. I thought he had a great week of work down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Looking at the rest of the top 10, both Zachary Crabtree, sorry about that misspelling, out of Oklahoma State, and Jamarco Jones out of Ohio State are underrated players that, in my opinion, could be starters in the NFL. Desmond Harrison of West Georgia is a small college prospect that dominated his level of competition and has the upside to his game, especially in the strength department. Connor Williams of Texas may end up playing inside for some teams, but as a tackle prospect, there's still a lot to like about his game. His hand usage is extremely consistent, which is why he's able to get movement. They rarely get outside and is always able to win that strike first game with the defensive lineman. Where you like to see him grow is within his footwork. I think he can clean that up a little bit, and it would also clean up a lot of issues for him in pass pro. Feet are everything for an offensive lineman, and once he smooths that part of his game out, he'll be just fine. Prospects 11 through 20 has a ton of size available here on this list. Mike McGlinchey of Notre Dame and Tamon Paris of Stony Brook are 2 solid prospects that should start to garner even more attention after the combine. 2 FCS prospects in Greg Sinnett of Wagner and Zach Duffy of Lehigh are not getting enough love for what they do out there on the field. Sinnett is a tremendous athlete that still has growth left in his game, and Duffy is a bigger right tackle that is outstanding in pass protection with one of the strongest punches I've seen on film. Alex Kappa of Humboldt State more than held his own at the Senior Bowl. Remember, it's about dominating your level of competition when you're a small college prospect, and that's exactly what Kappa did. Pass pro is where you're going to want to see him grow as a professional, but if you need him to make an impact right away, it's in the running game because of his athleticism and his outstanding functional strength. Good talent still available as we look at prospects 21 through 30. Timothy Gardner of Alcorn State and Austin Olsen of Southern Illinois showed up and showed out at the Tropical Bowl this past January. If he can beat the injury bug, then Pitt's Jarrett Jones-Smith has a chance to be a steal for someone in the draft. The fact that he made it back onto the field is a miracle in its own right. He's a really good football player. Dontavius Blair out of West Alabama is an intriguing prospect at 6'8", 305. You can still tell that he has room to fill out that frame. He's very light on his feet for someone that size and has more polish in pass pro than in the running game. Right now, he's what you would call a mold of clay type of a guy that has a lot of work-withable skills as he moves forward. Aaron Stinney of James Madison rounds out our list of offensive tackles. Stinney played a ton of football at JMU and has above average athleticism that gives him a shot to stick as a pro. So that's a wrap for our 2018 FBGP Scouting Draft Prospect Preview. To see more of our individual scouting reports, Follow us on Twitter at FBGP Scouting and bookmark the page footballgameplan.com/FBGP Scouting. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan, where you can get all of our scouting videos, mock drafts, and NFL draft prospect videos. And one more thing, subscribe to us on iTunes under Football Game Plan Podcast, where you can find the Scout Team Podcast, where we interview multiple NFL draft prospects.